Basketball fans, welcome into Raptors today. Akil, Augustine, Sherm, Hamilton, Paul Jones. Huge win for the Toronto Raptors as they return from the All-Star break, 115-110 against the New Orleans Pelicans, minus Zion Williams, obviously, who was a big factor in their first matchup this year. He was an absolute monster with that double-double. But let's talk about the guys that played a role in the big win for the Toronto Raptors. Mainly Pascal Siakam and Jakob Poeltl, Yak and Skills, Salt and Pepper, whatever nickname you want to
Peaches and Herb.
Okay, all right. Throw back to the old school. But, Sherm, I'll start with you. Let's start with Pascal Siakam, who pitched a perfect game in that third quarter, minus that one turnover. I believe it was 5 for 5 from the field, 6 for 6 from the free throw line. And his role in kind of allowing Yak to play in that role of that, like, kind of screen and roll guy. How impressed were you with how they've kind of picked up and found that rhythm so quickly?
Well, to add to that list, he made the pass, too, late in the game, right? So I think that there's great spacing between Pascal and Jakob. You know, because Jakob is a fluid player, he can be a facilitator or a ball mover at the top of the key three-point line. After he screens, he can roll to the basket, and Pascal can float anywhere. They have good spacing, and Pascal's doing a great job, and he's done it all season long, of mixing up his attack. But now he's got a big body who can really create some distraction and attach another defensive body to him. That gives Pascal more room to operate. And then as Pascal continues to evolve, he becomes the guy that they send a second body to. That allows Jakob to go wild on the glass. He can get those offensive rebounds. He can just be active in that regard. So they have a good yin and yang balance, and their skill sets fit. Yeah. They're not going to crowd each other out there on the floor. And I liked early in the game when we saw Jakob in the high post and Pascal down low as defenders. They try to use smaller defenders. Pascal can go on the block, and they can play that high-low action because Jakob's such a good passer, and Pascal has that quickness. So they have a lot of elements to their game that really match up well, and then they can make plays for each other and off each other.
The Raps had 3 straight wins, and you could easily say none of those wins happened without the presence of Jakob Poeltl.
Totally. He won off his career high with a 30-point game before the break, comes back with a career-high 18 rebounds. And I just love his smarts. Like he's a kid who came to the Raptors, was kind of immersed in that culture of improvement and development, and then he got traded. And you made the point last night on Raptors Tonight. He gets traded and he goes away and he goes to play for Greg Popovich.
Yep, the best camp you can find.
Isn't it? And then he comes back, and he hasn't lost. He's enhanced his skill set. He hasn't really lost anything in terms of his physical status. He's gotten better.
He's a man
because he's grown up. Exactly. And now you're putting all that in a place where he's familiar, people he's familiar with, and it just blows up. It just explodes. I just like the way he fits. We had him on postgame yesterday for the radio, and we asked him about coming back into a situation where he was before. He said, honestly, it's a comfort level. And I'm just watching my teammates, watching the flight of the ball. I asked him things about the technical part, tried to get into his head of the technical part of his rebounding. He says, I don't even think about it. I'm just watching the ball flight, looking at where it's going, looking at where I'm going to get the position. And he says, I don't even think about it. I just do it naturally. And that speaks to his innate ability to play this game.
The final score was 115-110, but the game was really a 10-point kind of difference throughout most of the game. But King B.I., Brandon Ingram, was huge down the stretch in that fourth quarter. Shouts out to OG Anunoby in his first game back, taking the strongest player on the opposing team. But it came down to a Pascal Siakam possession where he kicks it out to Gary Trent for a huge triple. Let's talk about Gary Trent for a second, because he's one of the guys that you talk about, maybe not the best creator for other people, but he was looking to spread the ball last night, and then when it came to the moment to take the shot, Jonesy, he was ready.
Nick called this play, the 1-4, spread it, and then they brought Gary on kind of the Iverson cut without the screens. Pascal gets into the lane, and Gary's ready to shoot it. Like, he knows where his shots are coming from. He has great shot preparation, and even if it's not on the catch and shoot, he's into his next counter. If there's a good closeout, he's still into his next counter, and nobody speeds the guy up. I mean, he's taking the shot, and you can see defenders running at him, and it's like they're right there, and he's oblivious. He's locked in. His concentration is terrific. His, for lack of a better term, muscle memory around doing things at the same speed, regardless of the pressure, is terrific, and that's why he knocks down big shots.
Yeah, and looking at the play, I mean, C.J. McCollum overhelped.
Yep.
The defender had Pascal on a one-legged jump pass, so he didn't have a lane to the basket, and C.J. McCollum just got caught sucked in a little bit too much. And Gary Trent, to everybody's point, is shot ready. That ball's coming on time on target. He can go straight into a shot. And if you look at it, C.J. McCollum's kind of just caught in no man's land. The defender has Pascal pretty much in position to pass the ball, and you just like the fact that Pascal recognized that. Gary Trent was ready for the ball, and the play was executed well in terms of the shot being made. So credit the Raptors for executing late in the game. A little bit of a mess up there by New Orleans, but hey, the play is designed for the defense to make a mistake, and they did make a mistake.
That strong shot gravity from Pascal Siakam, the respect he's getting from the defense. CJ knows that's usually the guy they go to in crunch time moments. Now let's talk about some big moments. It was Caribbean Heritage Night. Shouts out to St. Lucia.
Yeah.
Chris Boucher was in the building. He had one of the signature moments, not only just the dunk that he took, I think he took off from the free throw line.
I thought it was half court.
It just seemed like it, didn't it?
Slim dunk stretched out from the free throw line, but then he also came back to end the third quarter with the big block. We talked about this on Raptors Tonight. He was huge, and he's part of that bench group that's gonna, I think, blossom with the presence of Jakob Poeltl that we talked about. But who else stood out, or do you want to talk about Chris Boucher, Sherm?
I thought he was great. Again, be a star in your role, and I thought he was a star in his role, and he did a great job just being in the spots, making plays that were necessary in the moments, and not trying to do too much.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing about it. And I think we're seeing more balance through the roster. Everybody's back. Jakob has been dropped in and fits in perfectly. OG is in the lineup. Fred wasn't there, but, there's a lot of pieces that are settling into place. And I think for Chris Boucher, that energy he brings is necessary for this team's success, and we see it in those moments.
One of the surprise decisions was 19 minutes for Jeff Dowtin.
Yeah.
Coach Nurse going a different direction with that point guard backup spot without, of course, not having Fred VanVleet, as Sherm mentioned. How impressed are you with his ability? Because this is the best ability is availability, but then when you don't get consistent minutes, a lot of guys struggle with being a consistent player in inconsistent minutes.
I've been impressed with Jeff's play from back in Summer League, honestly. You watch the kid and you think, man, this kid understands how to run a team. He has some of the old-fashioned point guard values in terms of getting the ball to the right people. All right, you're not going to honor me. I'm going to score, and he does it in a sneaky way. He gets to the basket. He's good in the mid-range. He makes good decisions in screen roll, and all of a sudden you think he's going to be a scorer. Boom, he finds a guy for an easy hoop. So I'm impressed. He's become a good young professional, staying ready for his opportunity.
I just like the fact that he has that make-a-play ability.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, you give him the ball into the shot clock, he's going to make a play. Whether he makes a shot or not, he's going to make the pass. He's going to make a play.
Aggressive.
And it's a good decision in the moment, and that to me has always struck me about Jeff Dowtin.
That's the old-fashioned point guard that I'm talking about, right? The guy that end of the clock, give it to your point guard, he'll make something happen. That's what Jeff does.
All right, well, it's the end of the clock, so we got to give it to our point guard right now. Off ball, here's Savannah Hamilton talking Raptors threes and, of course, Caribbean Heritage Night.
Akil, the energy in Scotiabank Arena tonight was electric, but we'll get there in just a moment as to why that was. Before the game, Nick Nurse talked about how he's pretty much given the green light to OG, Pascal, and Scotty for catch and shoot beyond the three-point line. He said that he wants to see an increase of volume shots for them to space the floor, likely because of the addition of Jakob Poeltl, of course, taking up a bit more of the center position in the paint. But he said that their percentages beyond the arc was pretty impressive for him, and he wants to just see more of that continuing. So they saw a lot of more shots this game. OG took 8 shots, but with confidence. He didn't hit them, but that's something that can be worked on, of course, throughout the rest of the season. But let's talk about the energy in the building. Kevin Little was performing between the first quarter and the second quarter, and actually ended up causing the Raptors to get a delay of game warning. But honestly, if you ask me, it was worth it because the performance was great, and everybody was up on their feet, maintaining that energy for the rest of the game. Then you had Patrice Roberts, a soca artist, performing at halftime. And she just crushed it, of course. Towels were in the air. And you just had to give credit to the Caribbean heritage night that the Raptors really spotlighted. It was the first time in franchise history that they did that in Scotiabank Arena. So, kudos to them. And Akil, I'm sure you enjoyed it too. Take care.
All right, we got to send a big shout out also to the Game Ops team who put
Yes.
together an absolutely epic Caribbean Heritage Night. You had Kevin Littles, and of course, the princess
Patrice
herself,
again.
Patrice, the queen, I should say.
She's awesome.
As I said on Raptors Tonight, that's only the third time since I've been broadcasting that I did not leave my seat at halftime.
Yep.
That's only the third time that I stayed to watch the halftime because I knew I had to dance.
Yeah, there's some wordlessness that could have went on with Patrice there because you know how the whining thing goes. But I'll say this, Patrice is an amazing artist.
Yeah.
And I don't know if everybody understands how big it is to have Patrice
Yeah. Fresh
performing.
from Carnival.
And you know she was going and going and going.
Yeah, she was
through
on
Carnival.
road, Juve. She was with the marching
Performing,
bands.
Yeah, and her and Marshall have one of the biggest songs of the season
Yep.
too. So it's she's a top shelf artist.
She
Yeah.
passed me in the hallway. I was after halftime when I did run out after she finished. I was ready to turn around. Like we're around like LeBron and these people, and you don't get wowed by that. It's like, oh yeah, it's LeBron, it's Kevin Durant. She passed me in the hallway. I was like, if I could go and talk, no, but then I'll be lit. I better go. I better go.
It was definitely a significant moment for our Caribbean community. I was getting messages from my mom, text messages from my mom in Brooklyn saying, Patrice is at the game tonight?
Amazing.
Yeah.
Right, so
If you know, you know.
Yeah, if you know, you know. So definitely for the Caribbean culture and community, it was a huge night. Speaking of Caribbean culture and community, we got to find out what the Raptors' favorite Caribbean dish is. So check this out.
My go-to Caribbean dish is jerk chicken. I do like beef patties too. I messed it up. Roti.
White rice and oxtail. Yes.
I like oxtails, rice, and peas. I feel like that's really my go-to. My grandma makes it for me all the time. I love it.
This is our first show back since All-Star, so we got to talk about All-Star.
Hold on, hold on.
Wait.
Yep.
It's oxtail and white rice for me with spinach dumplings.
So not the rice and peas, it's the white
No,
rice.
and watch the beans with my dad. He's allergic. So.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
true.
Oxtail, white rice, and dumpling.
All right, what's yours?
I told you last night.
Yeah.
I'm a jerk pork, rice and peas, oxtail gravy.
Okay, I'm a bull jaw guy. Which,
Okay.
Wow.
Yep, bull jaw's my favorite dish. My mom used to make it for me back home.
Wow.
As, a little Akil, a little
Yeah,
tomato,
yeah,
a little
yeah,
saltfish.
Season up nice.
That's my actual
Some
favorite
bread?
dish. Yeah, a little
Hard dough
cocoa
bread.
Cocoa bread.
Cocoa bread.
That's the
That's a
difference. right there.
Saturday
That's
from
a
the
Saturday.
barber shop.
Saturday
Patty and
morning.
cocoa bread.
Patty and cocoa
Saturday
bread.
morning
Yeah.
thing. So let's
And
jump into
cola
it quickly.
champagne.
Yeah, well, no, my mom was not giving me cola champagne. It was
Ting.
coconut water.
Ting.
So let's talk All-Star Weekend, though, Sherm. We'll start with the rookie-sophomore game, or however they're playing it out now. Scotty Barnes' performance in that tournament. How impressed were you with him? And do you like the formatting of how it's playing now?
All those things have to be worked out to me. When you're trying it, I'm not necessarily the guy that just jumps in. I got to see it a few times to see if I like it. But what I liked about Scotty was he was comfortable. You could see that he wasn't shell-shocked anymore. He knows who he is, and I love the fact that he was featured at times during these games. So it's just great to see him. And those are the confidence-building moments when you're amongst the elite players and you're a focal point. That, to me, can only help in terms of his growth.
All right, Pascal Siakam in the All-Star game. I got to admit I was disappointed, but not in Pascal, but in the actual game itself. But your impressions of what went on?
Yeah, I was very disappointed in the game when I look back to some of the games that we talked about in our last show before the break. The memories, those games.
2001.
Guys played hard, and now it's really kind of an exhibition. But for Pascal, it was about, this experience was about sharing it with his family too. I saw a lot of his family there, ran into some of them in the airport. It was a celebratory, type of weekend for Pascal. And then being around the best in the game too, looking around in that locker room saying, I belong. I'm here. I'm respected. I belong. And I think that's wonderful for the young man, and especially the stuff that he's accomplished the last little while.
Last night, myself, Jonesy, and how am I blanking right now on Jack Armstrong?
Yeah.
Gave our thoughts about the dunk contest. So I want to hear from Sherm. Your impressions of the dunk contest.
I thought Mac McClung was excellent. I always like guys like this that just change the trajectory of a situation like this. The dunk contest is the most difficult event to keep alive in the All-Star game.
Yes,
Absolutely.
It is difficult. There's only so much you can do. And when someone comes along and is able to make you say, wow, that's different, I appreciate that. I don't care if he's not he is in the NBA now. He's with the Philadelphia 76ers. But, the fact that he was a G League player doesn't matter to me. The kid came in and performed and put on a show. He had the best NBA players in awe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like back in the day when guys like Vince were doing it, and Shaq, shout out to Pascal with the old school camcorder. Shaq had his camcorder up and he's looking around like he's blown away. That's what Mac McClung did to this dunk-off. He had the best in the world looking at him in awe.
Does he open the door for maybe we just get the best dunkers no matter where they come from?
Exactly. And if you want to see that kind of dunk contest, and it is all-star, it is, like I said, a celebration of the weekend of the game, then get them. I don't care if they're YouTubers or they're street ballers or get them.
Yep.
Get them. And the NBA guys will be there and sit back and watch them too. So I don't have a problem with that. The issue for me is, in terms of the whole game, if you want the stars, you want the guys to play harder, and if you want the stars in stuff, you talked about it yesterday on Raptors Tonight, you have to try to incentivize it.
Ante up?
To at least get them to think about it.
Yeah.
To at least get them to think about it. Because back in the day, the best players did that stuff. Dominique was in the dunk. Jordan was in the dunk. Kobe was in the dunk.
But the league wasn't as big as it is now. Each individual player is $1 billion
And guys
business.
are protecting brands right now,
And let's
too.
be honest, we all know what a game dunker is
Yeah.
and what a dunk-off person is.
Yeah.
Listen, you can talk about LeBron all you want. He is not
A dunk
contest
No.
guy.
Yep,
In a
agreed.
game, he'll wow you. And I think we've got to get away from this idea of the stars have to do it just because they're great in-game dunkers. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't fit the dunk-off contest. So get the guys who want to be there, who are athletic and want to do it. And like Jonesy said, it doesn't matter where you're from.
Yeah.
Because the guys who are the stars in the NBA want to see a show.
Yeah. And
They'll
we wanna see
support
them.
it.
We
And
wanna see them
wanna
get excited. Yeah.
100%. So forget about all the stars need to be in it for the star power. No. The stars need to clean up the All-Star game. That's what needs to be dealt with.
Priority number one.
My thought on the All-Star game, all it would take is one guy to play defense and stop one other guy, and the domino would start trickling.
Yeah.
It's like a play fight. When one of those jabs is a little too hard, things get real all of a sudden.
All right, well, the players, of course, it's not mandatory for them to participate in the dunk contest, but it is mandatory for them to participate in post-game availability. So let's check in with the players right now.
Coach was very impressed with your minutes tonight. First of all, you guys are coming off of a break. Immediately he's throwing you into the game. Good job, How did it feel to be out there?
It felt great. Definitely just coming off a break. It was a big win, great team effort. It just feels good to come off a break and get a win.
Obviously, was there anything that you were working on specifically, or looking to add to the team immediately when you got on the court?
Yeah, just defense. Picking up 94 feet, guarding the ball, just putting pressure on the defense. Just making, just being disruptive, try to get in passing lanes, do whatever I can to stop the other team from scoring. That's kind of been the main focus for me, and that's pretty much how I'm gonna, get minutes on the court. So just defensive focus.
How do you not let the pressure of, making sure that you're not checking behind your shoulder to see if you're going to be pulled off the court get to your head instead of just focusing and locking in on the game?
Yeah, just worry about what you can control, the intangibles. When my name is called, I'm always ready. My name is called, I'm always gonna be ready. Even if your name is not called, you always just anticipate that of course might just throw you in there anytime. So I'm always prepared. I think just practice, playing the game the right way has prepared me for whatever opportunity I get. So
it's been weird. Just overall, it's like a weird experience. Getting traded and not really having time to get your life situated because you're just starting with basketball right away. But from a basketball point of view, it's been great. First game was a little bit getting thrown at the deep end, but then every game I feel like I'm just getting more and more comfortable with every practice. It's actually been a lot of fun playing.
You welcome the responsibility you have now on a team that is certainly playing for something this year?
For sure. I mean, that's what you play basketball for at the end of the day, is because you want to win, and you don't just want to win like a basketball game. You want to win to get to the playoffs, to get to the finals, to win championships, stuff like that. So, yeah, that's what makes it fun at the end of the day.
Nick was saying yesterday that you came to him, I don't know exactly what, and said you were pretty much knew what was going on offensively, but defense, it was so different from what you were doing in San Antonio that it was taking some time. What have been like the biggest things you've picked up as the games have gone on?
Defensively or in general? I mean, it's just the aggression in general.
And then, of course, that dunk you had in the game. What was going through your mind? What was that like?
I'm trying to dunk every time. I think in transition now is one thing I'm trying to do. Obviously, I want to make the right plays and all, but if you give me the chance to get there, I'll definitely try to.
How does it feel to like kind of make those energy plays, and what does it do for the team in terms of just like adding that spark for the rest of the game?
Keeping the energy high. I think we're already playing with a lot of intensity, and also I'm just trying to do the same thing coming off the bench and be a present. Whatever I gotta do, rebound or whatever. I'm just trying to. It makes my job a lot easier when I do it every game.
And then, of course, like playing off of Jakob. With his presence down low, kind of you have to maybe make some adjustments in terms of playing your game. But do you feel his presence down there, or like how does it feel playing with him?
Yeah, I mean he's taking a lot of space and all that, so that definitely helps out. Guys got to close out to him sometimes, just playing fence, running and all, so it gives me openings. And for offensive rebound, it's just another guy I could fight with in there. And like I said, he's a good passer, good IQ, so that definitely helps all of us around.
We touched on it earlier, but now we want to head to the footage to illustrate the change that Jakob Poeltl brings to this group. So we'll start with Jonesy in the pick and roll. Talk to us about how he's changed the pick and roll. No Fred VanVleet last night, but still he provides a screen that changes things for the Toronto Raptors offense.
I liked it at times when he used the big man for the screen. Here's a previous game against Detroit with Fred. Look at Jakob. He catches, and he's surveying the defense. Great find for Scotty down low. Great job by Scotty to relocate as well. Okay, Jakob does a great job of when he sets the screen and the roll, he doesn't just roll indiscriminately. There's the short roll. He's got guys coming in from both sides, one penetrating dribble to draw the defense even closer, and then he dishes it off. All right, and this one, again, working with Fred. Everybody talks about the chemistry with Pascal. From the 905 days, he's got good chemistry with Fred, too. Now he takes up rebounding position. Fred clean, knocks down the shot. A good big man setting screens it's something that's so valuable. You can look past it at times if you're not used to having it.
A lot of guys are freight trains. Once they set that screen, they're going head first down the lane, getting charges. He's really under control when he sets that screen. Let's talk about the other side of the ball. Defensively, how does Jakob Poeltl, a true 7-footer, a true backline guy, change things for this Raptors team?
Yeah, this is the unique part about Jakob. Defensively, he's also good in the screen and roll. You see him here. He's in a bit of a drop defense, and he does a good job moving his feet laterally. This is one of the toughest things for a big guy to do. Cut off a guard who's quicker than you, get in front of him, block the shot without fouling. And here you see Lauri Markkanen has been posterizing people. Watch how Jakob turns his hips, keeps a separation, then times it to block that shot. Just a great single individual effort defensively. And then we talk about offensively being able to rebound. Well, Scotty puts a shot up, and look how Jakob gets in there, slides in between a couple defenders, uses his size, is able to rebound the ball. I will say this. Jonesy mentioned in terms of the ability of Jakob Poeltl to be good in the screen and roll. It's the versatility he has in the screen and roll.
So many things.
It's the many ways that he can make a play as a roller, as a recipient, as a slip guy, or just creating space for the ball handler. He just impacts so many levels of the screen and roll because of his skill set.
There was one late in the game last night, the two bigs, he and Pascal, and he did freight train it, right?
Yeah.
Pascal went towards the bench. There was space. Pascal made the pass, and Yak saw the opening like a freight train right down the middle of the lane.
All right, up next for the Toronto Raptors is a matchup with their old coach, Dwayne Casey, and the Detroit Pistons. And, of course, Dwayne Casey's been giving the ball to the young Jaden Ivey. Talk to me about what you guys see in this young man as he kind of takes the role away from Cade Cunningham, who's been shut down.
Well, he's very explosive at times. I mean, he's got great athleticism. He has some quicks. And, he's one of those guards that you can see he's in the right situation with Dwayne Casey. It's going to develop him, make sure he continues to improve, understands what he needs to do to become a good player in this league. but I like his overall aggression as a young player. I love his confidence, his skill set. There's a lot in this young man that has you on a lower level thinking a little bit of Ja Morant in terms of how he can impact the game. Ja's a different animal completely, but I think Jaden Ivey has a little bit of that in his game.
Wait till he improves his jump shot. Wait till he improves his jump shot and the timing of it and when he decides to go and start to take it.
Are you guys surprised that Bogdanovich wasn't moved to the trade deadline?
I was until I got a chance to talk to Dwayne.
Right, because they think he's part of the future with this group.
Because you do need – I mean, you look at Orlando now, the way they're coming, and what are they craving? Some vets, right? Some guys that understand it. And, I mean, this guy can put the ball in the basket.
He can score.
He can score it. And I thought the Raptors did a good job when they played him of staying attached to him and not letting him get anything off, drive and kick. They stayed attached to him, and they made him work. I mean, he did a nice job against Toronto, but he had to work for it. So, to me, that's the way you slow him down. Stay attached to him.
I was surprised because this guy, to me, is a championship piece. To a
Impact player for anyone who wants to win right now.
Yeah. So you have to have the veteran player who says, I want to be a part of this process, not just the organization saying we need veteran players, because Bogdanovich goes to a team right now, he can change their fortunes in terms of that piece, kind of a la Marc Gasol, the way that he did it for the Raptors. He could be that piece for another team.
And he's under contract for a little bit, at least 2 years. That does it for tonight, but for Raptors Today. Sorry, my Raptors Tonight appearance threw me off.
You're wearing a lot of hats, my man.
The Toronto Raptors match up at 12 p.m. Do remember, it's a day game against the Detroit Pistons, so tune in on Sportsnet, TSN with the radio call. And that does it for us here on Raptors Today. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you next week.